Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Sissy's Corner on this Sunday. As per usual, I have my little cheat sheet with me, so yeah, please don't. Oh, fuck, I can't. Today is another one of those days where I can't talk. Welcome back to Sissy's Corner. I have my little cheat sheet with me, so again, just to read off some points and have some notes with me for our conversational topic. Today, I want to talk about body movement and exercise and why it's beneficial for our mental health. Disclaimer again, because I know it's a sensitive topic. I'm going to talk about some things. In no way, shape, or form is my opinion directed towards everybody or meant to exclude anyone. I'm just in general going to talk a little bit about the benefits of just moving our bodies and exercise, but that doesn't mean that I assume that everybody should be doing it or that it's a general thing. How I view it, but I'm just gonna list off some of the benefits. So yeah, just a disclaimer, and it's got nothing to do with bodies or body image, any of those topics. That's not what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm first of all just gonna define what I mean when I say body movement and exercise. So body movement describes any kind of movement that's a physical activity. That can mean just going on a walk, it can mean going to get groceries, it can mean just stretching, it can mean just, sitting upright, any type of activity that's moving your body. And it can be slow and steady movements or faster movements if you're actually doing exercises. And the whole terminology, body movement and exercise, is only defined by an energy expenditure. What that means is that it requires energy for you to do this type of movement, do this type of exercise, and therefore you're expending energy that you are releasing through this type of movement. What exactly happens in our body when we move? Well, moving our bodies, and especially if we're doing it outside, helps to connect our internal world with the external world, because we have an internal view of ourselves and the world, while also existing in nature can help just to connect the two dots. And movement is quite essential if we're looking at like human evolution. Basically, it's the way that we got around for thousands of years. It's the way that we managed to populate the earth because we were moving. And generally speaking, in history, people spent most of their time just moving around, doing any kind of exercise, but also just moving their bodies. Sitting still or like lying down wasn't really something that they did much of, except for, of course, sleeping. These are basically built to respond positively to any kind of body movement or exercise. What the effect is on our bodies, but what's the effect of our brain? Talked about the physical aspect of just basically, our bodies being designed to improve over time, but in our brains, what happens is that it will alter the connections between the neurons in our brains, which just means that when we move our bodies, when we do exercise, our brain activity, it increases. And also, it increases our ability of learning, and it slows down aging, is something that is scientifically being researched and has been proven in recent years. And that, of course, are awesome benefits. That's so nice that we have higher level of brain activity when we do move our bodies. Makes so much sense because back in the day with the whole hunter-gatherer whatnot, it was pretty useful to activate the brains when we are actually in action and like doing something, reacting to something, running from something, whatever. Makes total sense, evolutionary, I think. But what does it do for our mental health if we focus on that aspect of exercise and body movement and why I want to talk about it, it basically will decrease the fight or flight response significantly because we kind of have an outlet for those anxious feelings, for those hormones. And for example, if we go to the gym and do resistance or aerobic kind of exercises, it can actually decrease depressive symptoms. That's so awesome that like a simple exercise like this can kind of aid in relieving some of the symptoms. Doesn't mean that it's going to go away or that it's super, super significant straight away, but just over time, of course. And it can be effective just like medication can be, but also therapy. So I recommend just, including some body movements in your daily routines, or like going on a walk or subsidizing a car ride by walking if you can, just simply because it's a kind of simple way to make yourself feel better. It's something that's always available to us because we always have the option to just move, whether it's in our apartment or outside or anywhere really. We can always choose to move, and even if we don't have a lot of space, we can just do simple stretches or just anything. I think it can also improve the way that we see ourselves, because if we feel like we're strong and we're capable, it just improves the way that we feel about ourselves. Like even if there's no other effect, or if it doesn't have any other benefits to it, we can always feel good about ourselves for achieving something. So I think that's like another thing that's worth mentioning. I'm going to talk about some overall benefits of exercise and body movement, not just regarding mental health, but what are like overall the benefits of why we should just be moving our bodies every once in a while. So first of all, it combats diseases. So basically, if you move your body, you have a lower risk of having a stroke or a heart attack, high blood pressure. We know all of this, but it's, like I said, also good for mental health issues like depression and anxiety. It can aid with neurodivergence, but it is also good to like prevent some types of cancer or arthritis, and also infections, because if we exercise and we move our body, our immune system is more active, and that means we have more responses to fight off some kind of infections and diseases because our immune system is more activated. And also, of course, warning, but it helps us control weight. It's just a natural way to keep our weight a little bit in control, but that's not the main focus, or I don't think it should be. I think it's a healthy side effect, but it doesn't mean that that's the main focus. When for example, I exercise, the only and pure motivation behind it is because it helps with my anxiety, and it's like a natural relief to have an outlet for those hormones. So that's why I like it, because it helps me out, and that's the reason that I do exercise in moderation. But some other non-related effects is, of course, it boosts the mood, it boosts energy, and it can also be super fun and social. Like depending on what type of body movement you do or what type of exercise, you can get like a social activity out of it too. Like there's walking groups, then we have those activities where you just go play volleyball, for example, or anything else that involves like group stuff. There's running groups, all of those things. So fun and so beneficial. And then a little bit of an age disclaimer, but also, of course, it helps us in our private and personal lives if we are more active in general, because then we have more energy for fun pastime activities, if you get my drift. What are some things that are like good movements to be doing? So if we are talking about body movement strictly, I think super important first thing, stretching, flexibility movements in general. It just improves our performance when we actually do exercise. It can decrease injuries. It helps our joints. And it enables the muscles to build more easily, but also good blood flow, which is super important for our whole body functioning well. It improves our posture, for example, but also it can heal and prevent back pain if we do like specific exercises regularly. And it's also very, very good for stress relief. So I feel like if we put more focus on our body, we can pretty much find out if we're more in tune what it craves, what it needs, and what feels good. But I think stretching or like just doing some kind of exercises for movement and agility are super convenient because the extent of how much you're actually doing is something that you can decide for yourself. There is not really a level that you need to be reaching if you don't want to or if you can't, but everyone can decide for themselves what they're capable of doing and in which way, shape, or form. So I think that's awesome. And even doing a couple of stretches for like 5 minutes every day will over time have a positive effect on you. So it's not, you know, a huge investment in time, but it will have positive effect on your body overall, and it will give you a good feeling and like relieve some of the stress and pains that you may have with older age. And believe you me, um, there's a difference. I notice a difference definitely with like growing older. If I compare it to like 5, 10 years ago, there's definitely a difference. So those things can help ease the transition. Let's just say that. Well, if we're looking at weight training, heavy lifting, those things, what are the benefits of going to the gym and lifting weights or doing strategic exercises? Weighted exercises can also be body weight. Calisthenics, for example, is like really up and coming and super, super hard to do. But what are the benefits? First of all, increasing our muscles. Muscles we do need in order to move around, in order to move our bodies, and also for daily activities. We need muscles to lift things. We need muscles to, move around. All of those things. But the benefit is also that we can get stronger, that we can get more powerful, that we feel like more under control. Is a super good thing also for our mental well-being. And then, um, and then obviously if we build muscle, it supports other form of exercises because it just makes it easier. And I'm saying muscles in moderation, not bodybuilder type muscles, because then of course it can get super hard to be agile, but just muscles that you would get from regularly training in the gym, those types of muscles. But another huge benefit that I personally find with weights is it's a good stress relief. It's good if you're having some pent up emotions because it's a good relief um, um, and a release to those feelings if you're really pushing hard on the weights because you're just pushing your own physical limits, but it just feels like a positive way of letting go of some of those negative emotions. Um, Let me talk a little bit about cardiovascular activities. Cardio, so running, biking, any of those things that have to do with, like I mentioned before, is especially good for anxiety, for example. It kind of lessens our fight or flight mode a little bit. It releases the hormones that trigger fight or flight, and it eases all of that heightened emotional stuff. So it's good if you're having anxiety or suffering from panic attacks to include some type of cardio in your body movement / exercise plan. Um, it also does improve the mood. It helps generate positive emotional responses. It keeps us agile and fit longer, which I think is like a cool long-term goal to be, a little old lady and still be able to do all of the things that I want to be doing and keep doing it for longer. That's personally like my goal. But also, I think I talked about this a little bit earlier. Physical activity, body movement, exercise is something that is always available to us because we do have a body and we can just decide to move it. And it doesn't need to be a big thing where you exercise 1-2 hours. It can just be little stuff. And I think that's awesome that we can decide to just incorporate the little things to help make ourselves feel better. And truly, also, I personally feel if you're not motivated and then you end up still doing something, it's also good for your ego because you can, kind of get over yourself and push past a certain motivational block. It's kind of cool. I think an important aspect that I would like to highlight is that the balance is key, though. Especially talking about body movement, exercises, whatever, in relation to mental health. I do understand perfectly well that it's not possible to push yourself every day that sometimes it's just not possible to get out of the little tunnel you've caught yourself in. And it is sometimes just too overwhelming, the thought of having yet another thing on your to-do list that you can't seem to accomplish, especially if you're extremely tired and your body just feels heavy. I do really understand it. I think a simple way to combat that is maybe just doing some stretches in your area of comfort. Like if you're on the couch or you're on the bed, there's like easy things that you can do. You can do like a frog pose while doing breathing exercises, just stretching your arms over your head. Doesn't need to be a really big thing, but it will help your body immensely. However, like I said, I do understand that sometimes you just can't, and that's perfectly fine. Like we need to, I feel like within social media especially, we always see these people that just, I don't know, exercise to a certain level and just have incredible bodies and like do everything to the max. But I do not think that that is the standard for daily life. I personally don't have the time to spend 2 hours in the gym every day, nor do I have the motivation. I admire people who do, but that just couldn't be me. And it's not feasible if you have any kind of other obligation or a full time job to be doing all of that with the sole focus on your body. So, just a disclaimer on my end. I feel like I'm not judging anybody, and I'm not, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that the standard is incredibly high, and it can sometimes, feel a little bit jarring if you're not able to meet it. But I don't find the time, and I do as much as I can and as much as feels good. But sometimes yeah, I just can't. What are some things to consider? Exercise is good for our emotional well-being because it gives us release on those emotions. It gives us a healthy form of letting go of some of the tougher emotions, and it also gives us positive emotions back, which is awesome. It can be good for our social well-being if we do some physical activities with other people, but it's also good for our physical well-being because obviously our body will thank us if we move it. And yeah, I went off on a little rant, but I think that should be the focus, that we feel good. The connection between mental and physical health has been studied more recently, and it's bidirectional, and it's intertwined, bidirectional and intertwined, which just means it goes both ways. So if we feel good physically, we feel better mentally, and vice versa. It's kind of like a symbiosis, if you will. It just goes together hand in hand. I think it's important to still stress that we shouldn't be going over our physical abilities or physical limits for our mental health, because sometimes if it gives us a little bit of relief, we can get over focused on something and like doing too much, and then end up hurting our bodies because we're overdoing it. I also have personal experience with that one, so I feel like balance is key. Listening to our bodies. Do not push past a certain limit if you feel like you're hurting, or if you feel like things are just getting too intense. Maybe slow down or switch up the kind of exercises that you are doing, because you're not going to benefit from any of it if you end up hurting yourself more than actually having a positive effect from it. It's just my 2 cents. I know I said a lot of controversial things in this video, probably, so please don't come for me. I mean it in a positive and good way. My idea was just to stress it and spread awareness, because I feel like it's a good additional mechanism to help ourselves in regards to our mental health, but just also overall health, to talk a little bit about little things that we can do for ourselves, and exercise / moving our bodies is one of those. So yeah, thank you so much, and happy Sunday.